make the playoffs, and a lot of teams in the West got better, so it's going to be a real grind to try to get into the playoffs. But we feel good about where we're at right now.
You're watching and listening to Ken Holland, General Manager, Vice President of the LA Kings. Okay, let's talk about some of those additions, including Joel Armia, Corey Perry, and the one that many people are kind of wondering is the decision to go with Cody Ceci and Brian Dumoulin and not re-sign Gavikov. So essentially you're adding two players for the price of one. So tell us the reason behind that.
Well, Gavrikov was a very important player on the team. We tried to re-sign him before I got here. Rob Blake had tried to made an offer and tried to re-sign him. I went beyond Rob Blake's offer. I guess ultimately didn't really get any counter offers, so I really wasn't sure if he wanted to be here or didn't want to be here. And in the last couple of days, it heated up. Ultimately, he made a decision to go to New York Rangers. He was really important in the top four last year, but especially important in the penalty kill. Cody Ceci kills penalties. Dumoulin kills penalties. The team was good in the penalty kill last year, so we had to make sure that we continue to be good in the penalty kill. So brought in a couple of defensemen that have penalty killed in other situations. So that was on defense, and up front, the team struggled on the power play probably till Kuzmenko got here at the trade deadline. So made a decision to re-sign Kuzmenko on a one-year deal, and then Corey Perry can help the power play. Both guys shoot right because everybody else shoots left. You're talking to Jim Hiller. It was important to find one righty, maybe two righties that can go in the power play. Corey Perry's a net front presence. Kuzmenko will play off on the side and can distribute the puck. And then Armia also is a good penalty killer. I think he was one of the top forwards in the National Hockey League in time on ice last year in the penalty kill. So you need to be good in the special teams. I guess we look at the team that, up until the trade deadline when they added Kuzmenko, we've kept Kuzmenko, we've brought in Armia and Perry, and then Dumoulin and Ceci on the back end, and Forsberg is a backup. So believe we're better, believe we're deeper. So, but you know what? You got to get to September and October. It's got to happen on the ice.
So, the staple of the Kings for so long has been Anze Kopitar being such a rock for that organization for years. And it feels like now is kind of the time for some guys to, I don't want to say pass him, but be more important to the team. Where do you see Quinton Byfield's development and how he's going to be used, and how much you guys need him to take a step next year?
Well, Quinton's incredibly important to the team. Like you said, Kopi's 37 years of age. He's going into the last year of his contract and make a decision at the end of the year, I guess. I talked to his agent, Pat Brisson, and we said that we would talk, let's get through the year and see where he's at. Hopefully we have a good year, and he wants to come back. But in the meantime, Quinton Byfield is, he's a 6'4". He's a big centerman. He can skate. He's competitive. He's coming to the age now where his role, his importance, his time on ice, his matchups are going to be even more difficult than they've been in the past. And that's for any team to take a step, part of it is internal growth. And Quinton Byfield is really important. LaFerriere, Brant Clark on the back end. Turcotte, who was kind of used, I'm going to say, like a Swiss Army knife, was used all over. With bringing in Perry and Armia, we think that one of the options for the coach is to put Turcotte between those two veteran guys, and they played together in Montreal's run to the Stanley Cup finals a few years, Perry and Armia. So, part of this is to try to bring in some veteran guys, veteran players. Brant Clark's going to play with a veteran player, on whether it's Dumoulin or Edmondson or Mikey Anderson. I'm not sure how the coach wants to play the three different pairs, but have some veteran players to play with the young players and help them grow into more important players on the team. And Quinton Byfield is probably the most important of all those, because he's a center iceman and has the potential to be a number one or a number two at worst in this league.
There's no question that, as you just mentioned, the succession plan for Kopitar, you watch in the playoffs. You still rely on them heavily here, but the mention of centermans in general and the shortage. There's a lot of free agents still out there, Ken Holland, but every team seems to be looking for center icemen. Where are you long term, well past Kopitar, on the search for number ones and twos?
Well, most of those guys are got to be drafted and developed. I guess if the odd guy hits the unrestricted market, they don't last very long. That's why Quinton Byfield is really important. That's why we need to develop Turcotte, see if he can kind of develop into going up the ladder. The coaching staff feels here that LaFerriere, who's been a right winger all his career, was really good defensively. That they might some nights give him an opportunity to play center and see how he looks. But ultimately, those guys like Kopitar, they're drafted in the top 5. They seem to spend their whole career with one team, and maybe later in their career move. We'll see. I'm kind of focused on this year, but certainly long term, that's going to be Danault's 33, Kopitar's 37, and center ice positions are really important on the team. And for now, we're in a good spot, but we'll see what we can do going forward.
Ken, how does the success of the Florida Panthers change how you feel? Like, has your philosophy on team building changed over the years? I know a lot of teams now are looking at the Panthers and being like, oh, wow, they're heavy and they hit. Do we need to be like that? Does Florida's success in the playoffs change anything for you, or have you changed the way you like teams built over the years at all?
Well, I've always liked big, heavy teams. I think if you look at the moves when I made in Edmonton, bringing in Hyman and Kane and Perry and Ekholm, big guys that can play the game. So, we got a young player here, Liam Greentree, that's 6'3", 6'3.5", 215 pounds. I just met with him this morning. He's going to go back to, spend all summer. He's got another year of junior to go in the OHL. They've done a good job here in drafting. There's Woolley, who was a late round pick, 6'4" defenseman that plays in London of the OHL and helped them win the Memorial Cup. I think ideally you'd like to have your team, your theme big and heavy, and that allows some undersized players or smaller players